Hey, 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 good morning. Good morning to some, good afternoon, and good evening to others. And welcome to Conversations with Geoff, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning here in Houston, Texas. Got out, got a little exercise in, man, and the weather's been really just awesome. And so I hope everybody's having a great day and you're in for another treat here at Conversations with Geoff, right? So welcome all those that are new to our family and those of you that have continued to show up and show us some support. We appreciate that. And some housekeeping rules I want to share while we wait for folks to come on is that, set some time aside right now. Put down your phone, put down your computer, close the door if you're in the house or in your office, and really kind of sit down and huddle up close to us so that you can be part of this next, 30, 35, 40 minutes, right? Because the young man I have that's going to come in here and light you up is worth the time, right? And he's taking his time out now. He's actually on vacation, but he carved out some time, so we really want to make sure we show up and deliver. So now that's it. You participate by letting us know where you're from in the chat. Show some love to the speaker, right? And also, if we don't get your question answered, don't fret. You want me to stay focused, because if I look at the questions, we'll be here all day, right? So understand that, but we will get back to you. All right, we will get back to you. So quiet some stuff around you. Get ready to participate. When you come into the chat, tell us your name and where you're from. All right. So now moving forward, and most importantly, the school year is over, and I want to just take a moment and congratulate all the students and the teaching professionals in that world that another year down, right? And I know the summertime is here, so you're ready for a relief. Some of you are going back and all of that, but I just want to say thank you to all. Congratulations to my daughter. She's a school teacher in San Antonio, and her classroom had phenomenal results. And her passion is teaching. That her gift is in that space. So, and it's crazy, right? I mean, hey, you're a mom and you teach, so you're around kids 24/7. I don't know how they do it, but I'm glad that they're there. And congratulations to all, right? So, Conversations with Geoff. Our mission is to empower, inspire, and encourage people to take a moment and realize that they have a gift, an underutilized gift. What is that underutilized gift? That they can become aware of and take action to change the conversation they're having with themselves about themselves, right? In other words, what do you think about when you wake up in the morning? What's that conversation? It's already running. It's been running nonstop throughout the night, right? So you wake up in the morning and you're going to have a certain set of chatter going on in your head. And let me give you an example of what I mean, right? Yesterday, Monday, right? My wife and I were working on getting up earlier, get our exercise in. Well, guess what? We hit the snooze, and then, and all those other things. And then an hour later, right, we're getting ready to go get started. Huh? How about that? A big day ahead, big work day, right? Monday, all that stuff. And I'll tell you, the chatter going on in my head was, man. I wasn't really tired. I knew I needed to get up, right? I was hiding because I had a big day of some things I didn't want to do that were important to get done, right? So I anticipated all the negative things happening. So I was like, but here's the hit right here, right? Habits. I'm going to talk to you quickly about habits and what I've learned to do to offset that conversation, right? In order to get up, I'll make sure my feet hit the ground, not like that, but in another frame of mind, right? So I pay attention to the loops in the habit. So here's your homework, and then we're going to get to the speaker, right? Because you guys know I like to give you some homework to take some things away and come back with, okay? So here's your homework. I want you to start thinking about the habit loop. And what I mean by that is there's a cue, there's a routine, and then there's a reward to it. And where do you fit in that loop, all right? And so I'm going to talk more about that on my channel. Make sure you follow it this week, go into details. With the time I have, I want to challenge you to ask you this. What habit do you want to change or create, right? And then maybe you're thinking about, well, what do you mean? So a goal you want to change, some needs that you want to have, some wants that you want to have. What is it that you want to work on changing? What habit is it? And then go to my YouTube channel and you'll see what I can talk about in depth about the cues. What is it? What's the behavior? What's the bad behavior that's preventing you from getting there, right? And the routine, what happens then? That routine yesterday. Oh man, hitting that snooze button. That wasn't the first time, right? That's one of the things I'm working on, okay, myself. And then what's the reward? in doing that. So anyhow, take a look at that stuff. And your challenge is, what habit do you want to change or create? And then put it in the chat, right? So listen, let me give you, moving away now to our guest. Gentleman hey, don't let this baby face fool you. I mean, this guy is a killer, right? He's a tremendous, successful business owner. He's grown his business to several $100 million in multifamily real estate. He evaluates thousands of opportunities, underwriting models, and published a #1 book on underwriting, the definitive guide to underwriting multifamily acquisitions. He's written over 50 articles in and around the business, deal structures. He talks about the capital markets. He's got a podcast, Capital Spotlight podcast, which all this information will be in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to you from vacation, man. I'm not going to tell you where, but the young man's out of New York City. Let me bring to you Mr. Rob Beardsley. All right, let's get it going up here, man. There we go. What's up, Rob?
Hey, thanks for the introduction. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you, man. One thing I left out in the introduction, you don't mind sharing, I talked about all the things you're doing right now and tremendous. But there was one thing that I think is really important to mention in your journey, right? We like to talk about the journey on this show. And in your journey, you had to make a decision, Rob, about leaving college, right? And, I just say the college, you wrote it down, you were a college dropout, and man, so I bring that up to tell me obviously you've had some success, but what were some underlying concerns or friction you got from making that decision that maybe it'll help somebody else that's in your space right now?
Yeah, well, it sounds dramatic, right? Dropping out of college. And I think certainly the stigma associated with that has gone down over time, right? Today it's 2022. There's a lot of people who've been successful that didn't go to college or dropped out of college. So it's becoming more acceptable. But at the end of the day, I'd say most people really value education, myself and my family included. It was kind of my life goal to get into an amazing school and kind of follow that career path. And so, dropping out wasn't a master plan by any means. I don't think anyone has that master plan. But for me, it was a very logical decision and not one that was as emotional as what you might expect. And also, I was very privileged to be able to be in a position to be able to drop out. So, for example, I was going to school at Carnegie Mellon, and that's a very advanced, kind of technical school, and they actually have very lenient policies about taking a leave of absence or dropping out because so many students end up, starting tech startups or pursuing something entrepreneurial like that. So my advisor recommended it. He was for it. It wasn't a fight with him either.
Yeah.
And the way I looked at it is, hey, I can leave school, give this a shot, and if it fails, I get to go back to school, pick up right where I left off, and I'll have that life experience and I'll be better for it. So to me, my downside was very low. And then the upside is, hey, if you leave school, start this business at 21 years old, and it's successful, well, then that's amazing. Then you got to where you wanted to go quicker. So that's the way I looked at it. I didn't see it as some sort of do or die or this desperate move.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And Carnegie Mellon, congratulations, man. You had some academics, you had some brain power in order to even get to that level. So, and for some, it may be even harder to leave an institution like that. So, I didn't have to worry about that when I graduated. My grades weren't even close to getting there. So congratulations on that space there. But so now you did that, you're right, and you made your decision to do the business, and so tell us, how is that journey? You made that, and you jumped all in to the real estate piece, and you're like, what was up?
Well, so before even dropping out, I had already started the business and was already working for a while, kind of in the multifamily real estate space. And what I just found myself doing was spending all my time working. And then I went from being always an excellent student and being diligent, getting all my assignments done early, And then, before you know it, I'm missing class because I've got phone calls and meetings and business to do. And I just remember one time it hit me. I was I was in an accounting class, and then I forget what it was, but I got some phone call and it was related to kind of real life accounting. And I thought to myself, what am I doing sitting in this class learning about it when I'm actually doing it in real life? I've got this real business and I'm trying to make something happen. So it kind of hit me in that class, like, wow, I really don't need to be, in this class right now. So that was. It's not like I wanted to leave school so that I could go and incubate this new idea, right? It was already a machine that was being built,
Yeah.
and I just felt that my time was best if I would reallocate it.
Man, I'll tell you, I can see you in that moment, right? I mean, that aha moment. You're in class and you're like, huh, later. Right? I mean, so people, when you're listening out there and you're wondering if you should or shouldn't, just remember what this young man just said. He had already started doing some things. He had evidence, right? I heard that you had some evidence that, hey, this thing, I may be able to do this. So you made that decision, and thanks for sharing that too, because I think that's important.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people are in school that are listening to this, but I definitely when this conversation topic is brought up, I definitely am not advocating dropping out.
Yes.
That's not the message. The message is, first of all, college is an amazing place to be to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you already know what you want to do, it's not necessarily the best place for you. Now, if you want to be a doctor or lawyer, then yes, it's the best place.
Yeah.
Follow the track, right?
Yeah.
But if you have an idea of what you want to do and you don't necessarily need those steps of school to get you there, then school can have already served its purpose for you. So that's my thought. I don't think you should just drop out to go figure out what to do. It's school is to figure out what to do and then take the next step.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I appreciate you saying that. And I'm the same opinion. Statistics tell us that, hey, you have to be careful about entering into college now because what you think you're going to study, what is it, 70% of the people never use it. So there's all kind of discussions around that, but education is important. So I appreciate you saying that. So all you parents out there, we're not advocating dropping out of college. We're just sharing an experience in the story. So appreciate that, man. So now you get in and you're 21 years old, right? I mean, when you started this business and you're moving and shaking, was there any fears that you had to squash or doubts that kind of came in there that we can talk about for a moment, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think whether you're starting your business at 21 or 41, you are going to face imposter syndrome. And I think that's normal. And I think you get over it over time. But especially as an entrepreneur and someone, an entrepreneur, no matter what you're really doing, there is an element of sales to your job, right?
That's
so
right.
Whether you're selling people on your vision to come and work with you, selling people on your vision to be your client or customer, there's selling going on constantly. And when you're selling, you have to believe in the product. And if the product is you have to believe in yourself. And so sometimes it's hard to believe in yourself when you haven't really proven to yourself that you are what you're selling, right?
That's
So
right.
there's a bit of a fake it till you make it component to it, which some people say fake it till you make it sarcastically or derisively. But I think it's actually a really good mindset to have and just kind of have that confidence of you kind of borrowing from your future self. I may not be exactly where I want to be today, but I know that I'm that person in the future. So that was kind of some of the things that I battled, and I would be absolutely looking to hide my age in conversations and in the way that I would come across, which was very difficult to do because it's not like I was a mature looking 21-year-old with a big beard or anything like that.
Right.
But it's funny because looking back on it, I didn't really get questioned on it very much. I didn't really get called out on it very much. It wasn't a very big deal. And I essentially got to that point where I have successfully faked it till I made it because now we fast forward to today where I'm 25. I'm still very young, but I don't really have to hide my age anymore because even though I'm young, I can look back and show you my experience. And at this point, that speaks for itself, right? I'm building something bigger than myself. It's not about me anymore. It's about my team. I think when I think about my stresses and worries now, it's not about, oh, how much money am I going to make? Or it's about, are my employees, are my partners uh, satisfied? Are they being challenged enough and kind of uh, things like that. Those are the things that I think about now. So it's to the point where you've got over that hump and now you're building something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, yeah, no, man, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I hear you talking about really you're focusing on developing other people. And it's not about Rob so much as it is the team and then creating the environment and creating the opportunity for people to excel. Right. I mean, and you I'll just tell the audience, number wise, these guys are killing it, right? I mean, I tell me if I'm wrong. I think you're, looking at 300 million this year, maybe, or somewhere in that range.
Yeah, the original goal for this year was to acquire 250 million in multifamily property, and we're off to a pretty good start. We're obviously there's some things happening in the economy that could slow us down, but we are kind of upping that goal to potentially 300 million this year. So it's always about raising the bar, and you don't want to just hit your goals and be satisfied.
That's right. That's right. And stretch them, to have something that, I mean, that's a reach. But I think that was from 100 million, wasn't it? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
right. Last year was 100 million. We kind of had a slowdown from COVID and we took a pause. So our company was in that stage where we were ready for growth, and that growth kind of got bottled up from COVID. And then when we come out of COVID, we were able to pick it up again. And I think this year finally is the first year where things are really firing for us, and we're starting to see not quite the fruits of our labor, but it's things are just starting to click. Where go back a few years when you're trying to get things started, you're putting in so much effort, and you're not really seeing that much result for each unit of effort, right? Because you're building something, right? You're putting all this in, and then you hit that inflection point, and then for every unit of effort you put in, you get big results. All of a sudden, it's all built up, and then it starts going like that. So I'm really excited to see how much we can push that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now you say we now. How many employees do you have when you look at your business when you started and where you are now? How big is the
So
family?
like you said, we're based in New York, and there's eight of us total in New York, and we also last summer launched our property management company. So we brought the management aspect of the business in house, and so there's three corporate employees based in Texas, where our portfolio is, that oversee the management. So that's really the team on both sides. As far as the New York team runs the private equity business, where we identify acquisitions, we structure the debt, we raise the equity, we manage the transactions, the asset management, and then the on the ground team in Texas is what actually is implementing the business plans as far as renovations, management improvements, raising occupancy, hiring and training the on-site staff.
Gotcha. So it's on growing. That business is just, evolving over time. And I heard you say something, when you made that decision to bring the PM in house, and you mentioned something else too at another conversation about construction, and around mitigating the risk. Can you talk to the business owners? And some folks are saying, I love the fact that you think about others while doing business. Yeah, we like that too, and having confidence. So let's talk about that maybe for a second. The PM, and you made a comment not today about mitigating the risk by controlling that part of the business.
Yeah. So when you look at business and you're looking at expanding your, whether you want to vertically integrate a piece or you want to add on and kind of an add-on to the business, right? There's only really two reasons why you'd want to add on to your business, and it would be either a profit center, right? You want to make more money, or you want to use it as a risk mitigant, right? You're adding it on so that way you can protect whatever it is that you're doing or build a moat. So with the property management, right? It's not a very profitable business, unfortunately. But so we're not doing it for profit. We're doing it as a risk mitigant, because by bringing the operations in-house, we have more control over the properties, and we have more control over our staff, right? If we're using an outsourced third-party company, they might move around the employees, they might take some away from us that we really like.
Yeah.
And so just kind of having more control over our people, and hopefully building kind of a loyalty to us rather than to a different company.
Sure.
So those are some of the ways that it's a risk mitigant, and that risk mitigant not only benefits us in our operations, but it also carries over in to our investors, right? And our investors like that. It's a selling point to our investors. We can go to partners
Mhm.
and say, "Hey, this is our operation. This is how we run things. We're transparent. We oversee everything. It's in house." And that makes us stand out if an investor has the choice to invest with us or a company that is outsourcing management, for example.
Yeah, yeah. It's just always nice for an investor to be able to go to the head, talk directly to the person that's making the decision. So more of the services that you have under one roof, as you said, the more appealing you're going to be. So that's smart. That's smart. Now,
Yeah.
tell me, are you doing that also with construction now? You're looking at adding the construction component to your business?
Yeah. Yeah. So construction is very similar, except that it's actually more profitable. So you can view construction as a profit center, uh, just based on the way that it's structured. There's more, like, essentially not necessarily cutting out the middleman, but uh, by bringing those things in house, you don't have to pay the markups for other GCs and subcontractors. And also on top of that, it is a risk mitigant because if we have those capabilities in house, then we can better control the cost and the time.
Yeah.
Time is really the one that we're really looking forward to as we build out the construction side of the business, because we find that the budgeting process of putting together the business plan and itemizing out the budget for that business plan it takes the longest in our due diligence process. And there's always a rush from getting the deal under contract to
Yeah.
us wanting to present it to our investors. And it's always the last thing ready before we can go and present to investors. We're waiting for that budget to be done. And we can't do anything without that budget because that
Yeah.
budget flows into the numbers. We can't
Yeah.
present numbers to investors without that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. That's the same pain we have in single family world. I mean, you got to have that number, because that's the piece that puts everything together on that. So, and now let's talk about your business for a minute, because I know we went right to the college thing. And what's your business look like? If you were to tell people, you're managing properties, are you building multifamily too, or are you, how's the business? Take a couple minutes and give us a picture of your business.
So just to take a step back, my business partner, Kent, and I, we started the company Lone Star Capital about now a little over 4 years ago. And we started the company in mind to buy existing multifamily assets in Texas. So we haven't done any ground up development. I do see that in our future at some point. But the plan has been and still is to acquire multifamily properties that are built around 30 to 50 years ago, generally speaking, and make modest improvements to the interiors, exteriors, just take care of deferred maintenance. The deals are similar, right? And that's what allows us to rinse and repeat the success. But
Mm-hmm.
every deal is unique, right? You don't want to just throw that template business plan at every deal because every deal is different.
Right.
The same renovation on property A may not work on property B, right? It depends on the location and depends on what the tenants want and things like that. So every deal is different, but at the end of the day, we are just doing value add multifamily, which is pretty straightforward. And I like the risk profile a lot because these deals, generally speaking, have cash flow from day one, and that's a big selling point for us and our investors. We provide our investors monthly distributions, which is great, and those start after the first full month of ownership. So, for example, we're closing a deal at the end of this month. That means July will be our first full month of ownership, and then by the end of August, around August 25th, we'll start kicking out every month distributions to our investors' bank accounts. So the way that works is we raise capital on a deal by deal basis. So we put a deal under contract, and then that deal will, let's say, need $10 million of equity. And then we'll go out to our network and just start sharing the deal to our partners, potential investors, and see who wants in. And then we kind of form that partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And that every deal stands on its own that way.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I'm listening to you, and I've heard your comment about how you built that equity relationship and that base. What can you tell people when you're talking about having money ahead of time or waiting for money and get the deal? Talk to me about that for a second.
Yeah, I would say the equity is the hardest part of the business. It's you can be the smartest guy in the world. You can be great at identifying good deals, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the backing, obviously there is no deal. So being able to raise the capital is the most important part of the business, and the tough thing is it's just literally impossible to build that capability overnight,
Yeah,
because that capability is based on so much more than skill. It's based on track record, reputation, relationships, and relationships take time.
right.
And I think one thing that has served me well, I'll say what served me well, and then I'll say the mistakes we made, but what has served me well is my long-term outlook and my patience. All right. Knowing that, hey, I don't need to necessarily conquer the world today, and I don't need all these investors to invest with me today. I'm going to be in business for 50 years. I'm going to build these relationships over time. And so having that long-term view is great, because you show up at an investor's door, pitch a deal, get rejected, no big deal. You just build that relationship. And actually, the more no's you get, the closer you are to yes, right? So I just like
Right.
pitching deals
Yep.
and keeping it moving. So that mentality has served me well. But rewinding to the beginning, what mistake what mistakes we made were kind of falling into this myth, which I'm sure many people here have heard, is that if you find the great deal, the money will come. And that's kind of what we felt, because we were both not interested in raising capital. We didn't want to ask people for money and things like that. That's not what we got into the business to do. And we just assumed, well, we'll find a good deal and then I'm sure the money will come. And so that's exactly what didn't happen, right? We put a deal under contract and there was no money for us. It was extremely difficult to raise the capital. It was a total nightmare. And that struggle of having to essentially fail and not have the relationships in place really taught us the valuable lesson of dig the well before you're thirsty, right? It's the complete
Yes,
opposite of, find a good deal and the money will come. Really, the right approach is way before you even need the money. That's when you need to be cultivating the relationships and the skills to be able to raise the capital, right? So, kind of step number one is become worthy of the capital, right? Be organized, have a strategy, have a narrative, have that message. And then number two, it's actually going out there and building those relationships. And it's really tough, because people don't really want to talk to you if you don't have a deal.
yeah.
So it's not easy to go out there and build those relationships without a deal, but it's hard to do a deal without those relationships. So you just have to struggle. And I think the beautiful thing about it is it only gets easier. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the exciting thing.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you said it only gets easier, and I'm making notes here about developing skills and being worthy. And I have to be honest with you. I've been one of those folks that say, don't worry. Find a good deal, the money will come. And I heard you say that. I'm like, I may need to rethink that, because the money doesn't naturally come. You still got to work your tail off. So I appreciate that. And I know there's probably some folks on here that I may have even said that. Don't worry. The money will come. But as you said, there's some work involved to get that to happen. So I'm going to change that presentation a little bit moving forward. So thank you for that. 'Cause, oh man, hey, I admitted when I'm off base, baby. That's the whole thing about this stuff, man. So you said something, and this has all been really powerful. I appreciate it, man. But you said something that people need to hear. You said something about borrowing from your future self. If you don't take away anything else about that, I mean, you see yourself. What I hear you saying is see yourself being successful, and then working towards becoming successful in that person. Is that kind of the message in there?
Yeah, like for example, right? If you're trying to do your first deal, second deal, third deal, and you don't have that track record of success to point to yet, it could be easy for an investor to look at you and your deal and say, well, why would I invest with you? You haven't done this before. You don't have an example deal that you can show me, a case study where you bought it, did the business plan, sold it, made the profit, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have that track record, it's very easy, like I said, to be dismissed. And you have to borrow from your future self, right? You have to be confident in the fact that you will execute on that plan and you will deliver. And that's not, that's not always possible.
No, it's not. It's hard to convince people too, of that capability when they're looking at you. But you also said something else. You get another no, you keep showing up, and you build a relationship over time. It's the long-term outlook. I think what I wrote down that kind of keeps you in the game, right? It's not going to happen. It's not a sprint. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but I haven't seen any example, and it certainly hasn't happened to me, where you pitch you meet a new investor, for example, for the first time, and you pitch whatever deal you have going on at that time, and they say yes, right? It's kind of just standard practice for them to reject the first deal you show them, right? I mean, I'm sure it's happened before, but I think you just have to assume that the first deal is going to be a no, and that's because it's a dating process. You get to know each other, talk the deal over, and then they want to spend time. And I've even had situations where investors say, "Yeah, I like this deal, but we're just not there yet, and we'll watch you for 6 months with this deal, and we hope that you call us back in 6 months or a year and say, hey, I told you so.
Yeah.
It's a good deal. It's working out." And then we'll have the confidence to invest. So just getting that out of the way as quickly as you can is great. I know some people who I've talked to about growing their business and whatnot are a bit kind of nervous, or I don't want to say nervous, but they want to be super prepared before they talk to investors, right? They want to get more experience. And for example, I hear this a lot. I'm going to do it with my own money first, and then I'm going to do it with investors, right?
Yeah.
And this is true, not just real estate, but really anything. And my opinion is, if that's your mentality, that's great. That means you're an honest person and that you want to do right by your investors. But you need to turn it around, and you need to take money from people now, because when you have outside capital involved, it completely changes the game. It forces you to be much more professional, much more on top of everything. If it's your own money, you can slack off. It's your own money. But taking other people's money forces you to be better.
Forces you to be better, because then the responsibility is heightened.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's really important. Thanks for sharing that, man. I like that, because I hear that a lot. And sometimes I think it's just an excuse that people make, that they're not even aware of. It's one of those little hidden excuses. So hey, listen, now we're kind of winding down, and I know you have a plane to catch, and so I want to give you an opportunity to just talk about your book just for a minute, and why people should go take that book and what benefit is involved in reading it.
Sure. So it's been a couple of years now. So a couple of years ago, I wrote the definitive guide to underwriting multifamily acquisitions, and it's a very specific, very niche book, and it addresses a very important part of the multifamily investment business, which is underwriting, which is the financial analysis portion of doing deals. And the reason why I wrote it is because I was so surprised to find when I entered the business that there wasn't a book like this already, right? It's a fundamental part of the business, and it's very straightforward, and nobody's really talking about it. So I felt that it would be something really good to add to the market. And fortunately I was right, and the book has done way better than I ever thought. I didn't really have any expectations for how many copies to sell and whatnot, but at this point we've sold over 5,000 copies, and it's really grown our network amazingly. So I've been really, really proud of it and thankful for having done that. And I think writing a book like this in a business context is really something very powerful. And at the end of the day, that book's only about 120 pages. It's just barely over 100 pages. So it's not some big novel. It's to the point. It's to the point. It's no fluff. and the way that it has changed our reputation, our relationships, it's been really powerful. So I think writing a book is a great business strategy that I recommend a lot of people do.
Yeah, yeah, and somebody just said that found that most people don't even know what underwriting actually does or do, and so I mean you're speaking to that very need right there, and so I haven't read it yet, but I know we're going to offer that. We're going to go back and look at over the next couple of days folks that have been chatting up the most, and then offer them a free book there because of that. And I need to read the book because we're moving into the commercial space. And so I like the idea that it's written for people to understand how to interpret and then also do.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's pretty much it on the book. I'm working on the next one, and I'm a bit late with it, but I'm really looking forward to this new one as well.
It'll be here when it's ready, right? So hey, listen, I want to tell you something, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out, particularly, last day of your vacation, holding that appointment. A lot of people may have made excuses not to do that. And then really just showing up. And for me, I mean, I got all kinds of notes here to use and learn so much. And what parting words, Rob, would you like to use or leave with us, man?
Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me, and everyone that's on the stream as well. Just to plug a few things, if you want to learn more about us at Lone Star, you can visit our new website. That's lscre.com. On our website, we have a very popular giveaway, which is the Excel spreadsheet that I built to analyze, to underwrite property, and that spreadsheet goes very well hand in hand with the book. So that's a good way to go if you really want to dive into multifamily underwriting. And then also on our website, we have an events page, and so we are hosting an event that we do every year. That's going to be in September in New York, and that'll be an event where we bring our network of investors and partners and all sorts of people like that. It's really the best of my network together, and it's a great opportunity to learn and network as we have roundtable discussions, deal shark tanks, panels, and things like that. So it's gonna be a good event, and we're already sold out of the VIP tickets, unfortunately, but there's still plenty to get out of the event from the general ticket. So yeah, we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, now that date, we've got everything else in there. So what was the date again on the event?
The event is September 19 and 20.
Okay. All right. And we'll get that from you and get that recirculated, right? Because that sounds like a real powerful opportunity to get around some, the whole mastermind environment.
Yep. I love it. It's always leaves you with a lot of new ideas, new relationships, and definitely some motivation.
Yeah. I mean, we need all of that, right? Because although this business has a lot of rewards, it does take some of that self-development piece to kind of keep things moving, man. So, hey, listen, I really appreciate it, and hopefully you didn't get offended when I said don't let the baby face fool you. I mean, I'm really proud of the things that you've accomplished and taking the time out here. And people that are hearing this later on, make sure you reach back out to him and say, drop him a thank you and take a look at his website and take advantage of that free. I know we're going to get it. The Analyze the Investment Deal. So really appreciate that, man. So safe travels to you back to New York and much success for the second half of this year. And really look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one. All
right. Appreciate you, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Hey, well, listen, I know this was a lot of focus on real estate, and we appreciate everyone hanging in there with us on that one. And go back through this thing again. He talked about some things that I think you can kind of walk away from in terms of building your business. And don't let commercial multifamily be something that you're scared of or kind of shut you down in terms of opening your brain to this. Right, because it's a natural transition from single family to multifamily, and with the information he's going to share with the analyzing the deals. I mean, that's powerful, right? I mean, that's a good tool. I know we're going to get it, right? So make sure you go out to his link and get that and check out his book. And here's what's going to happen. Those of you that share this the most between now, Tuesday and Friday, we will go back and look at that and see, and then those will be the one pick a winner and send out his book there to you. So make sure that you drop your information in here and subscribe to that. Can't talk today. Subscribe this and then share this message today, because he's got access to made available access to him, and certainly he'll be able to talk it up to you, right? So thank you again, Mr. Rob. Have a safe travel back to New York City. And hey, listen, I want to come back to what we talked about before we started. You all have some homework to do. Yes, you do. But what is that homework? What habit do you want to change or create? And take a look at whether it be your goals and needs or your wants, and think about how you're going to do that today, right? Right now, what it is I'm going to create. And then follow me on the YouTube this week, and I'll go into, talking more about what cues or triggers your habit, where does it fit? What routine do you follow? That routine that you say you're not going to do, but you end up doing it anyway, right? And then you're like, oh man, here I go again, right? And then the reward that you give yourself for doing those things. And reward also means rationalize, right? What are you rationalizing your way to make you feel like that was okay to do what you do? And I say the same thing to me. Lastly, I wanted to tell you that, hey, listen, we're working on an opportunity, for those business owners or professionals out there in the world, certain age between 40 to 60 plus, that are looking for a way to enter into real estate and avoid the costly mistakes that most people make, making the bad decisions and also wasting time, and find a clear path to get involved in this business, get started, and build your business. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming up soon. The power of the bridge, avoid the pitfalls. And more information to come around that. So share, subscribe this data today. I really appreciate everybody, for hanging in there with us, and the comments and the love that you've shared. And listen, hey, you teachers out there, take a break. You deserve it. You parents, now your kids are at home. What are you going to do? Get them, take them outside. Fine. If you don't have a budget for the summer, there's a lot of city parks that are free. Hey, there's still a park in every neighborhood for the most part. Find something to do. Get them away from this thing right here, and learn how to have a conversation with them. Because I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to be quiet. We've got our granddaughter is 12 years old, and our grandson is 4. And, I learned a lot about what's going on in the schools, and although we don't want to talk about it, maybe, there's the whole violence that's happening in the schools and all that stuff. So dial into your kids. Find a way to dial into your children, all right? Because they need you, all right? Remember that. They need you. And I know you're doing your best, and I'll challenge you to do more because they need you. All right. Listen, appreciate everybody, and have a great Tuesday, and appreciate all your support. And we'll see you again on another Conversations with Geoff. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.